Hello. I think it's so funny how we go through cycles. And it's not just like the women's cycles and all that, but you know how things come in three. We're like, oh my God, I can't believe this year is so bad. Or, someone dies and then others die. And then it just seems like so much is happening. And we don't notice that much when it's good things. And we just like, oh, I feel great right now. But we don't really count I think the, the good things when they happen. We don't say, oh, I've had three good things happening to me. It's mainly, other things. Then also, I feel when I have to work through something specific, for example, setting boundaries, then the universe it just takes a shovel and it just keeps putting situations and obstacles and challenges in front of me so I can really learn this thing. It's a bit like when you're trying to learn not to be in a stupid relationship and then the universe just seems to send you all these like douchebags so you can learn to say no to them, no? And this week and last week, I feel I had a lot of boundary setting to do. I had a house sitter that left the house less than clean, and then she wanted an honest feedback, which I gave her, and then she was really mad about that. I had a member of staff that spoke to me in like a super disrespectful way, so I put a complaint in, which I normally don't do, but this was just something that was way overstepping my boundaries. And then I had a client that did something to a pet that was also overstepping boundaries of what's normal and appropriate and kind to animals. So I had to bring the authorities in, and it was it just left me absolutely wiped out, having to be the bad one, quote unquote, in the quote unquote relationship with these people because I'm just used to just trying to be nice and just go easy and just chill and let everybody get on with their things. But then it seems like I'm reading this book about boundaries, which I'm gonna have to reach out to the author and see if I can get her on here so she can give us some advice directly, specifically to vets, because it's just amazing. And I thought, I want to work on boundaries. And then the universe was like, okay, here, let me just send all these people your way that can be your teachers, no? That's how I look at it anyway. And it made me really think about how much we go out of our own comfort zone, out of our own comfort, out of what we really want to do to try and please others all the time, unless then there's something completely black and white, like, I don't know, a rapist or someone who abuses children. You're like, no, this is a bad person. I'm not gonna try and please them. No, but we have so many other subtle in betweens, people that are good and people that we like and care about. And so we want to please them, we want to make them happy. But in doing so, we actually leaving ourselves behind. And I think the theme of what I'm going back to. So after me having this, then I've had a lot of clients and a lot of vets I've spoken to this week have been around the theme of I don't want to let other people down. And it sounds so nice. It sounds so self-sacrificing. It sounds like you're this person that, you work in integrity, you're full of integrity, you're honest, you're a hard worker. When you promise someone something, you're like an oath keeper. I'm watching Game of Thrones now, so this was coming up. You're just this like solid person people can count on. You're not gonna let them down. But we then apply this to a huge number of things that in our mind people are probably expecting of us. They might not even be expecting it, but we expect them to expect that of us. And because we think they expect that of us, then we do it because we don't want to let them down. It sounds very long-winded, but that is also how we explain it when we try to explain to others, like, well, why did you take all these extra shifts? Well, why did you insist on doing the night shifts when you didn't really want to? Well, why did you agree to prescribe this medication? Or why did you agree to taking this appointment or let them come in when you didn't really want to? And it's because this, I don't want to let them down. So sometimes vet psych coach will have been burned themselves into the ground because they're always trying to not let people down. And this is their colleagues, these are clients, these are family members, these are random people that they don't want to let down. So an example, for example, can be if you accept an appointment and you didn't really have time for this appointment. So if you're already fully booked and somebody wants to come in and you say yes because you don't want to let them down, And now you're overworked and you are semi letting a lot of other people down because now your nurses, your receptionists are overworked, may have to stay later. The other patients that are already booked in might have to wait longer and might not get the appropriate treatment or having the diagnostics they were supposed to have because you have booked this extra appointment because you didn't want to let these people down. Another example can be as well having them in the consult and then letting owners kind of take over and keep talking, and you just keep like, because you don't want to quote unquote let them down, and you want to have them make sure they get their money's worth. If they pay a lot for consult, if you're doing emergencies for example, then you let them talk and you keep talking and you keep like explaining things and you over explain and you just go on and on and on because you don't want to let them down because they're paying all this money. Or for example, if colleagues ask you to do shifts and you don't really want to do these shifts, but you do them anyway, you say yes because you don't want to let them down. And now you're letting yourself down because you're not getting a break. And you're also feeling super resentful towards these colleagues. And you're just trying to, what we often do in these occasions is that we almost try to manipulate them into not asking us. We wish they wouldn't ask us. We wish they would be different and not ask us and realize that we don't want to be asked. So we kind of try to manipulate them in this weird passive, not passive aggressive, but sort of way. So they don't ask us. Now, maybe we say subtle things like how tired we are, or maybe, or how busy we are, or how much we've done already in the clinic. And then we expect them to take that as, to see it for what it is, which is basically praying to not, don't ask me to do this shift. But people are so busy in their own things and remember, everybody are the main character in their own little movies. So you just like this side character out here, not really important. So when you say something that to you is important and has a lot of weight behind it, it might not be that important to the other person. So they're not going to see the significance for what it is that you don't really want to be asked. And then you get mad at them because you clearly gave them clues to not ask you. And now you're tired because now you said yes to this and you are circling in your head like, why did I say yes, and so on and so on. So in the I don't want to let them down, you're letting yourself down, you're letting your own boundaries down, and you're letting your mental and physical health down because now you're not going to get the sleep you needed, and so on and so on. No? And another one is also, and not, I don't want to let them down, is having this happy face all the time. So coming to work and you might be going through a rough time for whatever reason, or just have a bad day, but you insist in looking super happy and ask everybody else how they're doing, but not saying anything about you having a difficult moment because you don't want to let them down. But then you feel let down by them because they just keep putting more work on you and they don't really respect the stage you're in because you're not showing them, because you don't want to let them down. And again, you're letting yourself down by doing this because you're not respecting your own emotional state. You are trying to pretend to be something you're not. So you're basically lying to them as well. And I was coaching a vet on this, and we discussed how much she wanted to disclose of her private life. Let's say, for example, if you've had a breakup, do you want to tell people about this breakup at work, or are you more, do you want to separate your private life from your work? And that is absolutely fine. You don't have to disclose anything. You don't have to give any justification why you're in a bad mood or why you don't want to come to work or why you don't want to do this shift. But it's important that you let them know that you can say, I'm just going through a rough time right now, so I don't really want to engage in this. So I don't want to take on more shifts. So if I seem a bit abrupt or a bit short today, just to let you know that I'm a bit down at the moment, I don't want to talk about it. But you can perfectly say that you are not your normal bubbly self, and they need to respect that. But you don't have to explain why. And that's another thing as well I was coaching on is I don't want to do the night shift. I don't want to do the weekend. I don't want to take over this case from you. Whatever it is you don't want to do, you don't have to justify it because often we say yes to something because we think our justification is not important enough. So again, I don't want to let them down. If I can just tell them, oh, my grandma just died, I need to go to a funeral, then I'm not letting them down because I have a good enough justification. I'm like, quote unquote, with my fingers there all the time because it is just something we believe. It's just a thought we have, right? that they need a really good explanation, justification of why you're saying no or why you don't want to do this thing, because otherwise you don't really have a right to say no, or you don't have really a right to feel down, or you don't have a right to not be so smiley and happy as always, or do them this favor. And it comes back to a lot of it comes back to people pleasing as well. Like we hate disappointing others, we hate letting other people down. And of course, one thing is about our own integrity and living in alignment, that when I promise something, I'm going to stand by it. But a lot of it isn't. A lot of it is just what we think that they think that we should do, or what they're entitled to. So I might not want to see the disappointment in your face. Let's say that you say to me, "Oh my God, I got tickets for Coldplay. Come with me." And you're super excited about it. And I just don't like, I like Coldplay, but let's say I don't. Or I just have other plans that night. And then I really struggle to say no because I don't want to see the disappointment in your face because you're really excited about this thing. But what about me? What about me hating Coldplay and everything, every song, and then having to stand there and listen to that just because I don't want to see you get disappointed? And let's dig a bit deeper into this. Why do I not want to see the disappointment in your face? Or why don't I want to see the disagreement or the kind of anger or frustration in other people's faces? Why don't I want to see this? That is because if you're born people pleaser like me, you really struggle with other people having negative emotions, and especially if you are the quote unquote cause of these negative emotions. But we have to realize that we can't keep everybody around us happy by keep doing things that we don't want to do, by keep showing this brave face that we're not really feeling, and so on, just so they feel happy enough so we can feel happy. It sounds so long-winded and twisted, but that is literally how it is. And that is why sometimes it can be so difficult for us to see what we're actually doing to ourselves, and why I'm feeling tired, frustrated, and full of resentment towards everybody, because I don't even realize what I'm doing to myself. So let me explain it again. So let's say that I'm your boss and I say to you, can you, oh my God, we have nobody to cover the night shifts on Monday. Can you do it? Can you please do it? And then you really want to say no because on Monday, that's your date night, or you just want to walk your dogs, or you have planned to sit by yourself watching Netflix, and you already have like the whole meal prepared in your head, like pizza, what you're going to drink and everything. It doesn't even matter. Or you just hate doing nights. You don't really cope really well. You just can't sleep well. So you don't want to do it. And you quickly scan your brain to say, are any of these justifications good enough? And you also, is it good enough for me to say no? And your brain might come up with, well, Netflix is not really a good excuse enough, is it? So what if you say no now? Now I'm gonna be disappointed. Now I have to find somebody else, right? I have to find somebody else, or I have to do it. I don't want to do it either. And you're really worried about me then being disappointed on you, or me being frustrated, or me having to run around trying to get a locum and then having to pay them, and it's complicated. Now I stand in this situation. But if you say yes to this and you don't really want to, then okay, you don't have momentarily you're going to be comfortable because you're not saying no to me, you you will won't be uncomfortable because okay, I'm not saying no, so you're saying yes, so I will be happy and that'll be okay, cool, oof, look of relief, and I'm like, fine, thank you. I go off and I forget about the conversation, right? But that little millisecond where you said yes now means that you have to ruminate all week and be annoyed all week, looking forward to this Monday, knowing that you have to do a night shift because now you said yes and you don't want to do it. And now you feel resentful because why did I ask you? I shouldn't have asked you. I should have known that you're already tired, that you don't like doing nights, and you've already done more than everybody else. But I can't know that. If I'm the boss and I need someone to do a night shift, I'm going to look around, and the one person who's more likely to say yes, I'm going to ask them because I'm likely also slightly burned out and slightly not managing my mind properly. So I'm not going to have the bandwidth to see that you really do not need this night shift and it might just push you over the edge, right? So don't count on other people guessing what you want and don't want, and then get mad at them when they ask you stuff you don't think they should have asked you. And this goes all the way out into our personal lives, right? It's say if you an example, for example, here in Spain, when you get, that's where I'm right now, when people get married, it's such a drama because tradition says that you should invite everybody you know, everybody your parents know, and everybody like your neighbors, the woman from the supermarket, her family, and so on and so on. I have been to weddings where there was like, I think the biggest was was either the guy that runs the bakery or a guy that owns like the pub in the village where my first Spanish husband and I is from. And I went to their weddings, and I swear one was like 600 people and the other was 1,000 people. Now, a lot of that is because you don't want to disappoint all these people. Because what is like, we can't say no to Auntie Carol because what if she now gets disappointed? And okay, so wedding wise, I'm sure these people were perfectly happy with these weddings, but that would have been my worst nightmare. So, how about if you about to get married or you're having a party for whatever reason and you feel, oh, I can't really not invite such and such because then they're gonna feel this or they're gonna think that. And I don't really want my Uncle Eric to come because he always gets drunk and it's just so, it's embarrassing. And I don't really want, if because if I invite these cousins and all these other cousins have to come, and I don't want to have such a big party. I want like a small thing. I just want my best friends to come and such and such. And you have all this mind drama. Then you end up inviting people you didn't really want to come. And your party, okay, or your wedding, you're still going to enjoy it, but you might enjoy it 75% of 60% of what was the possible joy for you because you're inviting people you didn't really want to enjoy. Now, why are their feelings and their thoughts more important than your big day or big night or party or whatever it is you wanted to have? Like, why do you want to quote unquote not let them down on the expense of letting yourself down big time? Because these are things you can't make do over. You can't have another wedding. If you have an anniversary, that's not going to come back. And if you plan a big party, it's probably limited how many parties you can plan, in your lifetime. So this is going to be one of few. So, it's not something you can repeat all the time. So you sort of ruining, half ruining this thing for yourself just because you don't want to let other people down. It's just something we need to be really, really conscious about, and we need to get better at saying no. And the I don't want to let them down, like really, really feel where that is coming from, because that is the inner promise we made to ourselves about something. I'm watching like Game of Thrones now, and I just love like how the heroes are so in integrity. Like I said, I was gonna guard this wall, and I will guard ruin my life. And then they get stomped on by a giant. You're like, oh my God, they were so brave, and they were so aligned with their values. But then there's also the I don't want to let them down with things that we are making up in our heads and assumptions we're making about others, which are not even true. And I will tell you one thing, once you start challenging this, like I did, and you start pausing, like I've taught before, like somebody asks you to do something, or you have to ask somebody to come to a party because you think you have to, and so on. Like, please introduce the pause. Just this. Did you notice that little gap? Notice when your whole inner being just wants to please and go, yeah, sure. Yeah, I'll do that, of course. Oh, yeah, I can do that. Um, Notice when that comes up and just suppress it for a second and have a break, just a little break. And if you're still spinning, say, let me just think about it. I'll tell you at later today. I'll tell you tomorrow. Give them like a specific time limit so you don't have to spin on it forever. And really think about, really feel into what you want to do. And if all your reasons are, I don't want to let them down, because then they are going to have to, like, for example, back to the example where I'm the boss and now I have to find another vet. Well, that is my problem. That's why I get paid more. I signed up to be the boss, right? So that problem is my problem. If you want to help and it's coming genuinely from God, I could use that money, and I don't mind helping. It's great. You don't feel any resentment. You don't feel that that now I should be super grateful to you. You don't feel that I owe you something. You don't feel mad because I should have known not to ask you. If there's none of that missing there, if it's super clear to you, like, well, I kind of decided I wanted to help out 3 times a month, and that's fine. So this is one of the times I can help out. So be really super conscious and make decisions up front about these things. No, don't just like roll with it and just go with, those things that were installed in us when we were kids about say yes and smile, and don't rock the boat and just be nice to everybody and, make sure everybody are happy all the time. Like, don't just roll with that because you're going to end up with so much like inner rage and resentment and feeling out of alignment and not living by your values and not living by your priorities because you're always prioritizing everybody else first. And I know it sounds really nice. I don't want to let them down, but you're letting yourself down over and over and over. And you're assuming people know, and you're assuming people should know how you feel and what you're thinking. And that's not the case. You are not the main character of their movie. And you also don't want to be uncomfortable for a moment saying either no or saying, I'll think about it, let me come back to you. So you're taking on a ton of stuff just because you don't want to experience that little moment of seeing them getting frustrated or disappointed and knowing that now they might not come to your amazing wedding, or maybe now they have to go out and find another night vet. But you have to let people have their own problems. And I'm not saying be a bitch and never be kind or never helpful to anybody, but you can't let it be your default forever because it will burn you down. And I'm coaching vets day, night, weeks in, days out, in, years out on this because we don't want to let them down and we're letting ourselves down. Letting ourselves down mean burnout, anxiety, depression, wanting to get out of vet med, not helping fucking anybody because now we're letting everybody down because we're leaving. I'm not saying you're letting people down if you leave, but if you are saying yes to all these little things because you don't want to let the people at your clinic down, you're going to end up letting them down big time when you leave or have to go on sick leave for 8 months. For 8 months. If you want to leave the clinic, that's fine, but do it from a place of, oh, I fancy doing something else now, not from, I need to get out of here because they're always asking me too much and I can't cope anymore and I can't sleep and I can't eat and everything is just hell. Very different. Okay? So don't live by the, I don't want to let them down. Know your priorities. Decide upfront every month, how do you want to approach this month? How many extra shifts do you want to do if that's a thing for you? How are you going to say no? How are you going to deal with the uncomfortable feelings that are going to come up for you when people get disappointed, frustrated, angry, whatever at you? Or you think they're going to do, because it might just be a perception. I promise you, 50% of the time, people are not going to care. So all that mental drama you had, for nothing. To make those decisions, how are you going to handle that? Like, how can you just be okay with them being uncomfortable and you being uncomfortable for a minute? And practice the pause, practice the pause and practice saying, let me think about it. And don't also go to the defaults of feel you have to invite people to stuff you don't want to invite them to, or saying yes to doing whatever it is. Like if your school is doing like some charity thing and people are asking you to bake a cake and you don't have time for it because right now your mom is sick and you're running from house to house and you're really busy and whatever. Don't say yes. Don't say yes if you can't do it. Say yes from a place of abundance, from a place of calm, from a place of groundedness. Like I want to spend so many hours on charity, volunteering, whatever it is, or extra shift this month, and I'm doing it from a place of I know exactly what I'm doing. Very decision based, very conscious, not just oh I don't want to let anybody down, and then you're running around not letting a million people down, and also letting yourself down big time. So just notice when it comes up, and yeah, be really conscious, live conscious, make decisions, know your priorities and put yourself first, the oxygen mask on yourself first, so you can stay in this profession as long as possible and feel good about it. Okay? Have a great week. Bye.